This is Cloud Monitor. This is the flagship product of Managed Methods, the one that everybody knows us for. This is the one where we're looking at activity in the Google Workspace, the Microsoft 365 environment. This is where we're looking at things at the account level. So certainly on Filter and Classroom, we're looking at things at more the device URL level, but this is where we're going to be looking at activity at the account level. So what are students getting into in Drive files? What are staff members sharing or sending around? So this product isn't just focused in on the students; it's focusing on the students and the staff.
Oh, one last question there about the classroom. The devices listed there, are they listed by serial number?
For Chromebooks, they will be listed by MAC address, and then the serial number would appear below that MAC address if you are using Google's device management.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you, Skip. So Cloud Monitor here, it's really going to be more focused on the account side, but this is where it's also going to help out with the staff side because unfortunately, Google and Microsoft are fantastic resources, but there are some issues sometimes that people don't realize. One of the things that we see a lot of, unfortunately, are situations like people missharing files or sending emails that contain information to the outside that they shouldn't be. So this is where we have a section called risks. It's going to be somewhat similar to what we see maybe over on the filter side a little bit, but this is going to be more focused on everybody. So we will certainly have some student safety risks that can be turned on for the student side, but we're also going to have quite a few things that can be turned on the staff side. So we're looking for credit card numbers, social security numbers, maybe IEP information, things of that nature. And then when we find things, we can click into it and take a look at that information very rapidly and understand what's happening with the incident or the situation. And this is probably one of the biggest issues that Skip and I run across in the field, and it's the missharing of IEP information or other sensitive data. Google makes it just so easy to share with people, and Microsoft does to a degree as well, but Google especially. And this anyone with a link share permission type is a really bad way that people share things. They're trying to share something quickly. They're trying to share something to somebody that's going to be easy for them to access, but then they share it in such a way where, well, if this link gets out there, anyone else could access it. And that's kind of the issue here. There's really not any reason to have sensitive data shared in this way. It's just an unnecessary risk there. But we can quickly see here, here's the problem. Here's what's going on with the incident or issue here. Some actions here. I can clear it out from the risks tab if it's something I've handled. I could pull the file from the user if I need to via the quarantine function. I could completely delete the file from the domain entirely. Probably not something you would end up doing in this situation. I could also share via email, so I could contact the person. I could put in them in as the recipient. I could write a subject and I could say, "Hey, you shared an IEP where anyone with the link can access it. Can you go ahead and please update your share permissions there?" I can also pull down a local copy of it to take a look at it a little bit more closely as well too. So those are all options and flexibility there on diving into the risk side of things. And that's going to be one of the core parts of Cloud Monitor is going out and looking for things within Drive files, within Gmail, within shared Drive files that might be cause for concern. We unfortunately do see a lot of that on both the staff and student side. It's an area that people sometimes don't think about as much, but if your users are using Drive files or OneDrive files, they're probably creating all kinds of different things. There's all sorts of different stuff people will use their Drive files for. Staff sometimes will also get into the bad habit of using their Drive for personal business. I've seen documents that have kids and parents' social security numbers in it, and their credit card numbers, and their Costco number, or their Sam Club's number, all kinds of stuff where just there's no reason for that file to be being held in the district drive in the first place. So the risks can be really helpful in identifying that. Something else we look at as well too is going to be login activity and login data. Um, Certainly, it's good to have things like conditional access in place, but managed methods and Cloud Monitor in particular will do a nice job of keeping an eye on that, even if something happens where for some reason somebody slips through. Or in the case of Google, Google does their conditional access a little bit differently. There's kind of two processes. There's the way they do it is they reject the server or they lock the services that people are able to access, but they don't necessarily reject the login event itself. So that's something that's important to keep in mind that, hey, Google has their kind of own way of doing it. Microsoft's a little bit more standard of, hey, it just cuts off the login event there. So, but both have kind of their own ways of doing it. But this is where Cloud Monitor can be really helpful in identifying, okay, where are people accessing their account from? Is there somebody who's getting into an account that shouldn't be? So we've got some ways we'll be able to identify those that information there. So we'll list out IP addresses, of course, usernames, event types, and we can even go ahead and run the event against the Have I Been Pwned database here to see if they're part of any publicly known about VPNs or proxies or things like that as well too. We also have a feature that will be coming out soon if you are a Cloud Monitor customer to be able to show VPN IP addresses as well. So that's something that we're excited about to be adding here too. But the idea here is to try to keep an eye on accounts. So by the default, the platform is going to look for successful logins from outside the United States, or in the case of Google, suspicious successful logins. Google does have an additional event type there as well too. So, but those are all things that can be really helpful to keep an eye on. Also, really valuable on the student side as well. A lot of districts are going to have, you should have MFA on your staff members there, or be working towards that. That's a really valuable thing. Skip can certainly attest to MFA being a good thing. But MFA is also not perfect. That's the other important thing to think about too. I've had two districts in the past couple years where somebody accepted one of those device prompts on their phone. They just clicked on it, they said yes, and then I'll let Skip jump in here on that one, but that's something that we do unfortunately see.
Yeah, MFA is great as long as your users are not just click happy and just select yes for everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, in that case, the users were click happy. They just accepted yes, and then suddenly they had login events from all over the place because the account had been compromised. So that's where it's good to be aware of that sort of thing, and then be able to investigate that further. So that's where this accounts information and this login information will be really valuable. And then we have some really easy ways we can come in and run reports off of Google and say, what was the user getting into in drive activity or login activity or things of that nature there. So a lot of powerful information on that end. And then on the staff side, we also look into the OAuth token activity of users. This is something that's now more of a staff problem than a student problem. It used to be a really big student problem, but Google made some great changes over the years where they said, hey, students can't just authorize anything at will anymore. They got to go through that approval process. But on the staff side, if you're not doing that process, this can be really helpful in identifying what's out there in the first place, who's using that application, what permissions did they grant to the application. And then if you say, hey, I don't want this in here, you can revoke it. And then in the platform, we can also set up policies as well to continuously revoke those OAuth tokens moving forward as well. So this can be very powerful to lock things down there on that end. So final thing I'll end here with on the Cloud Monitor side is probably one of our features that we're most known for there. Apologies there. Is going to be our live email search. So the live email search is going to be a live API call search. We also have one over on the Drive file side in Google. This is also available in Outlook as well, but this will be a live API call throughout the whole domain to track down whatever specific emails you're looking for. As long as the account hasn't been deleted, or the account isn't suspended, or the email hasn't been deleted, they should track this email down for you. Great for mass deletions and things like that as well. So, all right. I know we are to our 45-minute mark there. Certainly, there's a lot more in Cloud Monitor. Cloud Monitor is a very in-depth product. There's a lot of feature functionality it has. Things like Classroom is great if you're using Google Classroom. Lots of information that can be found in Drive files and OneDrive files as well. So, well, great. With that, I'm going to go ahead and if there's questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I know we've been kind of answering those questions as we've gone along there, but if there are any additional questions here, now's a great time to put them in. We'll answer those here before we wrap things up.